this morning, you guys, is all about understanding what we have our hands on, and why who we are, why we are who we are, and understanding from a mindset standpoint that nothing has meaning except for the meaning we give to it. And so that's why this morning was titled Real Talk, from that standpoint, as far as meaning stuff. So, what do I mean by that? kind of funny, right? But what I mean is that everybody's bringing their own past, our past experiences into a current situation. And so when we're dealing with mindset stuff, every single person has had their own unique upbringing, their own unique, childhood and teenage years, and then, moving into, high school, adulthood and life. Right. And so we've all had different experiences, different, mentors in our life, different advice that we've been given. And so, what's true, what's false, what's real, what's fake, what's anything, right? And so sometimes it's like the challenge of the world we live in, and especially with this internet thing, it's a double-edged sword of trying to figure out, what is the facts or what is opinions, And so from that standpoint, we're always looking at things through different sets of glasses. Okay, that's the easiest way to look at it. Everybody's wearing a different set of glasses, different perspective based on our past experiences. And so what I'm about to share with you guys this morning, and hopefully Tom is able to log in. And if he's not, guess what? We're rolling, so it don't matter. But in the end, what I'm about to share with you guys this morning is just me, Cullen Haskins, coming from my perspective. All I can share with you is from my experiences and what served me very, very well, and other things that haven't served me very well. And so therefore, I'm going to do my best job to just try to pour a fresh perspective on things. And I'm going to talk about an area that doesn't get talked about really at all. And that's why this is going to be pretty powerful from my perspective, because it's an area we don't talk about a lot, because sometimes we're taking arrows from, people's opinions on certain things. And whether it be a verbal opinion, whether it be a blog post that somebody wrote, whatever, but these are their opinions. And yet we take arrows from these opinions on what this person's mental position is and what they're bringing to the table and their perspective on things. And yet I find it fascinating that, because of, free speech and everything else, like none of them are held to any kind of accountability on anything. They can say whatever they want to say about anything, no accountability. And yet here we are, business owners, and we're held to a higher level of accountability through governing bodies, to run a real legitimate business and do things in a correct manner. And so we're held to a higher level of accountability, but they're not. And I find that the first fascinating thing that I wanted to bring up this morning. And so as we look at all of this, you guys, everything is one thing, it's energy. And what we give energy to is going to expand. And so let's talk about the market. Let's talk about, the world that we live in, and what does the market look like? And here's what it looks like. I was looking at some statistics, over 57% of the United States of America are entrepreneurs of some sort. So over 50% of America are entrepreneurs, and they are in a situation where, they're wanting to be their own boss, or wanting to be a business owner. And yet, as they come on as this, starting their new endeavor, starting their own business, that means that we have, a little less than 50% of the population are not business owners, have never run a business probably, and maybe have no desire to run a business, which, guess what? Okay, that's fantastic. I mean, we live in America. Everybody gets to choose whether or not, they want to run a business or not. And we all get to choose. With that being said, how about, how come there is no educational system around at least giving people their choices and options? See, I subscribe to, the situation where, I want everybody to have the opportunity to at least understand why they would want to be a business owner. What's in it for them? What would be exciting from their perspective as far as being a business owner? Why wouldn't we offer it up to at least educate people on the difference between being a business owner or being an employee? And not to be judgmental of everybody or saying, man, if you're an employee, you're going to be it. But at the same token, the other side of that coin, if they choose to be an employee, they can't look at all of us and say, well, you choose to do more as a business owner, and so therefore you're an idiot, or it must be a scam, or whatever they try to say. It gets me a little bit fired up because it makes zero sense, in order to do it that way. And so I believe we have Tom Holden in here with us now, and he is sideways on his
of course.
Of course you are. Of course you are. There you go. So Tom is with us. So perfect. There we go. Let me do one more thing here. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your efforts and jumping in and making this thing happen with us this morning.
Yeah, man. It's exciting to be on here. Man, if I can do it, anybody can do it. That's for sure.
Hey, so let's start off this morning, Tom. I was just talking business right out of the gate, just kind of hitting with some of that. But 2-minute commercial. 2-minute commercial, Tom Holden. For those of people that don't know Tom Holden, go.
All right. Well, it's Tom Holden. Prior to Market America, I was a roofing contractor and spent my time in construction. Father of 5 wonderful, beautiful children. Soon to be a grandpa in September, and a full-time entrepreneur with digital marketing company Market America for 23 years. And I can't believe that has really came to that. And so definitely in a place, I've been with Market America longer in my life than I haven't. I just realized that, right? So, kind of like one of those times in your life where, looking back, I've been with the company now 24 years. So longer than I haven't, it's nuts.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, so another quick snippet about Tom is that he was born with a, silver spoon in his mouth and he inherited a lot of money, and that's why he's really successful. And so therefore there's, that's his story.
No, when I started Market America, I guess you caught me right off the gate, right? 2-minute commercial. When I found Market America, I was broke, dead broke. I wasn't dead, but I was broke, but I wasn't internally broke. And, David and I lived in Colorado Springs, just, his brother Kelly was expanding his business into Colorado Springs, and David was looking for a couple sharp people. I just happened to be his only friend. So I guess that made me sharp, but really I sat down and looked at this business. I tried another home-based business, started with a Y, ended with an A. Didn't really succeed at that. So kind of swore off home-based business. But, Kelly said something very key. He said, find a way that you can't make money with this. And so we sat down for about 6 hours over a bunch of coffee and tried to find a way. And after that was sold into this business. Now, I think it's interesting because as I look back, I was hopeful, I was excited and hopeful that, this business was everything on 6 pieces of paper at the time with, it didn't have all the ink and all the letters on it because it came over a fax machine in the late 1900s. They had this thing called a fax machine and it actually had ink, and so, but I was hopeful because I was broke and, going to the food drive to feed my family and working 100 hours a week. And, I was at a place where I was desperately looking. And then when I found Market America, it wasn't like I made 6 figures the very first year. The second year, it's a 2 to 3 year plan. So within 3 years, I was right at that 2,100 mark, which was awesome. But my first year and a half was a real journey because I didn't even make a check for 17 months. So, you know, this business is fun, Colin.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. And you know, many of you guys, you know my story, but you know, I was a maintenance guy working in a pharmaceutical facility. Loved working with my hands. Thought if I could fix things, I could always have a job. But finding out that my dad couldn't retire, man, stock market dumps, circumstances changed for my father, and he had been dumping all his money in that 401k thing. I was dumping it all in there, you know, company match, the whole thing with the pharmaceutical company, and then trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And all I thought about, you guys, when my dad couldn't retire, is he worked the best years of his life between alarm clocks and time clocks to then find out now he got to go get another job. And I thought, okay, what am I doing that's so different than my dad? And the answer was nothing. And then I had to open my mind to entrepreneurship and starting my own business. Why? Because that's the only way to work your way in the top 5, 10% of our country, are the business owners. See, so Tom, one of the things I was already sharing with everybody is that, I was looking at some statistics before we got on here this morning, and over 57% of the United States of America are entrepreneurs, which that was higher than I thought it was going to be.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Right. Yeah.
Growing and growing, so we now have more entrepreneurs of people that are working a plan for their own financial success than ever before, statistically, that way, because usually it was like, years ago, it'd be like maybe 80% of the town was like, like a century ago, where most people were like, had their own little trade and a small business or something like that. And then they only had a couple of employees, and it was like 80-20 rule that way, where 80% were maybe the business owners, 20% weren't. And then the pendulum swung really far the other direction, where you had, big businesses taking over and all of this, to where now there was like 80% of the people were employees and 20% were the business owners. Right.
Right.
And I think I think the pendulum's swinging back the other way again. People are taking control of their own lives. Right.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm talking Tom and I are talking mindset stuff here today, you guys, and
getting the head right.
Nothing has meaning except for the meaning we give to it. And I did set the context on that as well, Tom, that, all of the meaning stuff is stuff from our past experiences and who taught us what they've taught us in our life, and what have we taken from different experiences to form who we are today, and then start to determine in our brains, what do we deem as right and what do we deem as wrong, and then you look at another person and they're having an exact opposite opinion and thinking, well, how did they come to that conclusion? Because I know I'm right, so they must be wrong. It's like, it's total opposites, But I also talked about, Tom, how isn't it fascinating that we live in this internet age where anybody can post anything that they want on this internet thing, whether it just be a post, whether it be they can write a blog, they can write whatever they want, and they're held to zero accountability on anything that they write. And yet they can take a shot at our company on something like, hey, it's a scam, for instance, and they could take a shot at us, but yet we are held to a higher level of accountability as a business owner through the Federal Trade Commission, through governing bodies, to make sure that we operate everything with legitimate customers, sales to end consumers. Everything that we do is 100% legitimate, but they lump us into somebody who scammed somebody at some point and say, well, that all must be the same. Everything's the same, right?
Yeah.
You and I have these conversations all the time, you guys. This is why I wanted Tom to jump on with me, because him and we have conversations about these things sometimes, and I think sometimes we need to record it because we could just shoot off the cuff and hammer some of this stuff from a common sense standpoint. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of crazy, because I say the internet today is like the bathroom wall. Growing up, you'd walk into the bathroom and, it's kind of like you could either find, cartoons or statements on the wall that were just so far off, you would just kind of disregard it. Eventually you didn't even look at the bathroom wall, because the bathroom wall didn't mean anything. And that's kind of what the internet's gone to today. You have a lot of people that have nothing else to do but get paid to write negative comments, articles, and so, a lot of times people don't know what they don't know. And, there are people that actually make a living at writing negativity, or finding one little piece to create a big old long lie. And so, you know, as Colin and I talk about that, you know, kind of chopping it up, you know, looking at it going, you know, we're going to kind of smash the chatterbox this morning of lies, right? So kind of like squish it down, put it in a jar, put a lid on it, and give you guys a tool that you'll be able to share.
And that's it. And so let's talk about one in particular. So one person, one guy, one gal, I don't even know who it is. You can't tell who it is.
Yeah, it's the internet. It's a it, right?
Who they really are, which is also another fascinating thing. But it says, you know, let's talk about how, you know, entrepreneurs, let's talk about how, you know, network marketers are preying on people, you know, during the current economic situation. You know, and then the person talks about step number one. They talk about how the economy is tanking. And then that's it. That's their step number one. And then they breed all of this mindset stuff into justify their position, knowing that statistically speaking, right? So if we're at 57%, you guys, of people that are entrepreneurs and wanting something more and more for themselves and their family, but more for their current community, and pouring back into the community in order to make a difference in the community as an entrepreneur, okay, because that's what we do. You got a little less than 50% that potentially are going to side with the doom and gloom, negative, and I just want to stay in my box, right? So you got, I mean, let's just call it 50-50. 50%, one out of two people is either going to side with the person who's the optimist, or they're going to side with the person who's the pessimist. And so you got a 50-50 shot of somebody buying what this person is selling as a negative, where I'm kind of like, why would you even write an article that says that somebody's preying on somebody from a negative perspective? Because shame on you is the way I look at that comment, Tom. I'm like, shame on you for preying on people to stay small in their life and not want something bigger about helping people in their community, because a set of glasses I look through as of optimism and trying to lift each other up in order to bless and help other people, while you're going to look at the glass half empty and talk about how life sucks, we should die, and that's a marketing ploy. Or I'm going, dude, have you looked at any other traditional business owner on planet Earth? Car dealers are offering special deals right now, 0%. We'll even deliver the car and this and that. Shame on you. Shame on you for preying on people and giving them a better deal, like in order to sell them a car at this point, because you still got to stay in business. I mean, it's all relative though, right? Based on what set of glasses people are wearing.
It's really crazy because, you know, of course we have lots of glasses that we wear, you know. As a father, we wear that set. As a business partner, we wear that set of glasses. And, you know, sometimes, you know, being a parent, one of the things that I love the most and one of the things I discouraged the most was you know, being in a situation where there was discipline, right, that was had to come down and to really smash the lie, right, or crash the chatterbox of lies, right? And so to really kind of root down to get to the truth. And I think that's really the thing in life is, you know, we take things at face value today because it's on Facebook. You know what I mean? We get our news from Facebook versus from the source, or you know, there's so much stuff out there. You know, it's kind of like the other day was trying to see what's going on with North Korea's leader. You know, it came across that he was dead, and you know, it's like, what? And then, you know, just all of these stories, but that at the end of the day, he's doing just fine. And I guess that's the thing with what we have. You know, he was just taking a break, but the media wasn't. And, you know, that's what people have to do today with, you know, negativity. And so, you know, it's amazing, Colin, because with marketamericanshop.com, 57%, let's just look at that. 57% of individuals today are entrepreneurs. It's only going to grow, right? Because of the pandemic, because really it's the timing, you know? And so as people want to take control of their time, their future, their life, it's only going to get stronger. Everybody wants a side hustle. You know, before everybody would say, hey, you want a plan B? Today you go, hey man, what's your side hustle? You know, and people are talking more today than ever because, you know, there were people that weren't even thinking about a side hustle until the pandemic, and now they're the greatest mask makers in the world. You know, they got a full on production plant going on in their living room, you know. And so, you know, as I say that, there's still people that are on the internet that are writing about how they're using fabric that's coming from China or whatever, right? There's always going to be a negative spot. And so as we talk today about this subject in network marketing that or in direct sales or in any kind of industry, you know, really going to smash down on some topics here that, you know, I think, Colin, you created some great questions that we can just knock them out.
Yeah, so that was the first thing this guy was referencing. The second thing, and I keep saying guy, I don't know if it's a guy or guy.
It's kind of like an alien, right?
It was referencing, you know. And again, listen, I mean, they're entitled to their own opinion, okay? However, when it affects other people's mindset to play small in their life and stay right where they're at, be happy with what you have, and if right now that means no job, no money, and everything else, and say, you know, you shouldn't be lifting these people up, then I would argue with that person's opinion and say, you're wrong. So number two, you know, they say one of the areas that we're exploiting is they say, you know, you talk about all the money and the perks that you can make as a, you know, distributor of a company.
Yeah.
And then number three was explain that anyone can be successful as a distributor. This is terrible stuff, you know, of giving people the opportunity again, you know. But what happens is this, Tom, nothing really wrong with that because there's some truth in that, okay? I mean, there's obviously truth in it, but see, he's using it as the opposite of saying exploiting people by offering those items, okay? To where what happens is somebody who's not that confident in their current personal setting of who they are as a person at this point in their life reads something like that and can look at the situation from a different set of glasses and say, well, that's kind of what they were talking to me about. So this person must be right. They're exploiting me. Does that make sense? See, this is where it gets real convoluted. And this is where I got an issue with this person because I'm like, let's just wrap this thing into a pretty bow here and say, we can be the optimists and say, you can do what you want with your life. And I want you to be successful. And if you're going to be pissed at me about it, I'm sorry. I mean, give me a break, man. This person's going to be, you should just buy the doom and gloom of the world to know that everybody's out to get you and everybody's a scam artist on planet Earth. I mean, have you ever seen the show American Greed? Everybody's a scam artist, you know, and there was one bad cop that exploited somebody at their point. The cop that a drunk driver hit me when I was 17. The woman who hit me, knew the police officer, and I got screwed. Totally got screwed. Okay, that's the truth. But the bottom line is I didn't come to the conclusion that every cop on planet Earth was a bad cop. I came to the conclusion that cop was a bad cop because of the way he handled the situation, that had no integrity, no ethics, no morals. And this is where I have the issue with blanketing a whole bunch of a whole industry, let's say, or a whole group of people to say that everybody's wrong, everybody's a scam, doom and gloom, and it's crap.
Yeah, the world's coming to an end tomorrow, right? You know, it's really true. You know, as you say that, I think about a lot of things. Number one, yes, we have the opportunity to make amazing amount of money. You follow a proven system, you know, you put in the work, and ultimately you have the ability to do that. I think as an entrepreneur, you know, if you'd ask an entrepreneur that is successful and you ask an entrepreneur that has not created their success yet, it's going to be the same answer. They want the same thing, and that's freedom. They want the ability to choose what they do, and the ultimate way of making money is to own their own business, right? So those two things is what creates an entrepreneur, is an idea whose time has come and the opportunity to go out and create market share. And so when people use that word exploit, I think it's really interesting because what happens is if you read, let's just say, the news, right? They exploit so many different things, right? But they don't use the word exploit. And so with negative press, there's always negative words. And so, when we come to a positive mindset, what you feed in your mind will come out your mouth, right? So if you feed positive, it'll come out positive. I believe that we were created to have vision, right? We were created for more. We were created to produce. We were created, to create increase. And so, that's the great thing about what I found with Market America. What's amazing is that when you follow a proven business plan. Now, when J.R. Ridinger, I it's amazing that I go back to this. J.R. Ridinger founded this company back in the early 1980s. It came into fruition in 1992, but his thought process started back in the 80s. So you have to think about this. When JR started Market America, he started it on an idea whose time has come, right? So he was writing articles. One day we're going to have a mall without walls. And, in that mall without walls, you're going to be able to buy products and services and, everything that people want through the mall without walls. That's what we started on in 1992. And, you look back in 2010, 2012, when shop.com came into acquisition, JR now purchased the mall without walls. But see, 1992, he was talking about the mall without walls. That was part of our plan. In 2012, he purchased, right? So that's a lot of time in between, Colin. And why do I say that? Because in between there, it was still a vision that was being worked out. People were making money. People were coming on board. And so what is making a lot of money, right? When people go, oh, you're exploiting, saying that they're going to make a lot of money. Well, you know what a lot of money to me was, Colin, which I find funny, was $300 a month. Mm-hmm. I don't find it funny, but I find it life-changing. $300 a month is what I started Market America for. That helped me put food on my table for my family. It kept me out of the food drive, and that changed my world. So when people make comments, I find them to be very ignorant. Oh, they're exploiting people for money. No, we have an opportunity with an open meeting system that allows all of us the ability to come together like you and I are this morning for the betterment of all.
That's it, Tom. And, ignorant statement is just uneducated. If you don't know something, then you don't know it. But then to claim that you do know it, or you claim to lump everybody into the same category, because the other thing that this fella does, or it does, is that what they did is they posted videos. Our CEO taking time every Wednesday night to jump on and do a live session with everybody.
Yeah.
What this person did is they went through these videos that JR made, and he took excerpts out of, and he put JR and put all kinds of different companies in to prove his point that he's making on these things. Okay. He's like an excerpt of JR, telling everybody, that right now everybody's growing more than ever. And so therefore, just in that one sentence, it's like, you're exploiting people, and it's like, that's the only sentence you're going to share. So here's my advice. Here's my opinion too on this, Tom, and tell me what you think. But my opinion is this: if you're going to take an excerpt from what anybody is saying, you also have the responsibility to post the link to the whole video so somebody could actually look at the whole video in order to form an opinion, versus piecing a bunch of little things together in order to form somebody's opinion. On the other side of that coin, all of us have the responsibility, in order to not be ignorant on our side, to recognize what this person is doing in order to try to sway my thinking on something, because we all have that responsibility, versus just blaming it on then this or anybody else in our life, because we can be a victor in our life or we can be a victim. And that's what this person is preying on. And this is where I get fired up, you guys, because from my perspective, with what we do, we offer an opportunity And we're not even allowed to bring somebody in the first time they see this because we know they have to understand more information. So if we're giving people more information in order to make an educated decision, to make sure we don't waste time with the wrong person, and that way you don't waste time doing something you don't want to do, as you don't want to run a business ever in your life, then don't run a business. We're not going to, so we don't pressure people, Tom. We don't convince people. We're not browbeating people like, get in today and you got to buy a product from us today, and like pressuring people. See, but this is where the antithesis, which is the opposite, this is where other people come from another direction and say, this is what all of these people do. In other words, sales is pressuring, convincing. I'm going to bully people to buy my product. When I'm like, that's freaking hilarious. That's not sales. That's somebody that's called rude. And from my perspective, you're being rude in the post and you're being a bully in your post because you're bullying people to buy the crap that you're writing and just stay right where they're at.
Yeah. Or you know, you can look at infomercials, man. Has anybody ever bought a gadget off an infomercial?
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah, right. So why wouldn't you say that's exploiting? Or why wouldn't you say, you know, that they do it every day? It's a $1 trillion industry. And by the way, they're still doing it and they're going to do it tomorrow. So what happens is like you're saying, people come along, you know, and they say things, you know, I was sitting here thinking it, and I kind of went out here into outer space. You know how brilliant it is to follow somebody that's a visionary, that truly, you know, his vision comes to pass all the time since we started the company. You know, it might not have came at that time, but JR, you know, for the last 5, 6, 7 years has been talking about creating your own economy, creating your own economy, creating your own economy, you know, with the shopping and create your own economy, you know, insulate yourself. People are always going to say that we're crazy if they don't understand what we're saying. And today, you know, even though I didn't understand it back then, I said it enough that today, you know, we have created our own economy as we're, you know, going through this pandemic. A lot of us have been able to create ongoing income. And, you know, here's the deal. People are always going to find something negative. Always. I mean, you know, I heard this yesterday or the day before, every relationship, you know, it doesn't matter. Everything that you look at long enough, you will find something wrong. Doesn't matter. So it's what, you know, you're going to do with that. And so I guess with, you know, the internet, you have people that are out to tear things down that purposefully, you know, number one, that's their job.
Internet trolls. Internet trolls. Yeah. I mean, they get their kick off. They just wait for somebody to post something that they could totally just tear it down and be the negative person on the post because they enjoy it. Those are some people. I mean, give me a break.
I know. When you were talking about, they take this little insert and they stretch it out to create a whole conversation. That right there is exploiting, like you were saying. But here's the deal. What they didn't do is they didn't take the whole conversation that JR has been on for the last 6 or 7 weeks, or Mark Ashley, the CEO, or Elizabeth Weber, the top money earner, or Colin Haskins and Trinity Haskins. Or, you know, they only take one little thing to create a negative conversation. And, you know, that's the great thing that we have with Market America is all of the track record of success. You know, I was talking to somebody that Colin has been with me for over 20 years. And, you know, they're professional coordinators in the business, retired school teachers, right? They've made an ongoing income more than what they would have made as their profession as a school teacher for over 18 years, right?
Bam. Yep.
18 years. Now, look, they're not a part of the $1 Million Club, but they've made more money with Market America than they did as a school teacher. And they were able to leave that profession early. Now, why do I say that? Because not everybody that comes on board here is going to make millions and millions of dollars. But what they can do is create a lifestyle of comfort, right, of their choice to go on and create leverage in their life, you know, to be able to have a backup income. you know, if it's $300 to $600 a month, or, you know, in their case, they're making $3,000 to $4,500 a month, which allowed them to leave their career early now and go out and live. And so that's the great thing about what we have.
So let's talk about that. Let's expand on that really quick, because I think that's an important topic. You know, the pessimist, the negative person wants to talk about how come everybody doesn't make six figures. And truthfully, it's a great question. It's a skeptical person question. And it's difference between being like, hey, I'm a little bit skeptical, I'm trying to understand something, or I'm just going to be rude and negative about any opportunities that come my way. A lot of people just have questions. I had questions when I got introduced to this, and it was, you know, how can I make money with this? But see, I was looking to create a residual income. We have to understand, and we got to break it down into three types of people, you guys, who get started in business. Some people get started in business, number one, and especially with what we do, because a chunk of what we do is personal development and helping people believe more in themselves than they did before they met us. Okay. So number one is they love hanging around with positive people. That's number one. We want to hang around with positive people because we live in a world of doom and gloom. I work at a job of doom and gloom. And so therefore I maybe have a household of doom and gloom, and I want to be the breath of fresh air. I'm in this for the positive people. They're not in it to make a lot of money with the company. They're in it because they love positive people. Is there anything wrong with that? Should we prey on that person or exploit that person because that's not on their goal statement or what they want out of the company?
Right.
Absolutely not. That's crazy. The second person gets started because they love a product. They had a life-changing result on a product and they love the products. And we have so many products and services. And so therefore they love a product. And again, Tom, they may be making, like you said, maybe just an extra $300 a month. They're not wealthy financially speaking, but they are rich mentally. See, and their heart is rich. They're full. This is filling what they are looking for out of the business. And why should they be wrong for just wanting that out of the business? It's not our job to tell somebody, well, you got to want to make six figures. And if you don't, I'm done working with you. And, you know, you should just go die. You know, I mean, that's ridiculous. And let's face it, Tom, probably 80% of the company is that. 80% of entrepreneurs are more heart-centered, yellow, servant people that just love blessing and serving people. And they don't really want to focus on the business side of building a residual income. And then you got the 20%ers, 80-20 rule. 20%ers are like, I want to graduate myself from the mindset, again, mindset first, into the 20% thinking category and hang out with those 20%ers. And I want to build a business out of it. And that's their goal. And the side that doesn't want to do it and shouldn't make the 20%er meal. You know, both sides, nobody out of those three should be making anybody feel bad. And anybody outside looking in, for you to judge any one of those three and act like they're not successful or they're wrong or it's a scam or whatever, again, ignorant statement.
Yeah. And yeah, it really is, man. You know, as I sit here and think about, you know, having this conversation with you, and which this always happens, you know, we kind of like play it off. You know, you look at the statistics. I don't know if you've watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan here lately, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. You know, Michael Jordan said his statement. When you hear Michael Jordan, you should hear Scottie Pippen, right? Without Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan probably would never been Michael Jordan. And, you know, the media, the only person they talk about is Michael Jordan, being the greatest basketball player in the whole world. And, you know, as you watch that, if, you know, there's so many incredible pieces in there. One of the most incredibly negative, controversial pieces was Dennis Rodman. But he become the all-time, think about it, he has more rebounds, more block shots than anybody. He's got records but he's known for his controversy, not his greatness. And the reason why I say that is they both played on the same team. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, you know, and Dennis Rodman. And so, you know, that's how the media works. That's how negativity works. Some people will focus on negativity and they'll blow it up. You know, the great thing about marketamericanshop.com, we're at 30% growth. We are freaking busting out the doors. we got more stuff going on today than we ever have. And think about it. We have a tool for the future for everybody to grab onto to really create the economy of the future, their own life. You know, it's a choice. It's a mindset. What do you want?
So let's talk about something that does set us apart. Okay, let's get off of this topic a little bit, and let's talk about what sets us apart. And it's really our no decision close, trial run, test market, run with the, let's get you success rolling before we bring on. And somebody could do that within a day time. They could do it in 2 days. We're always creating urgency because we want people to become successful faster. But somebody could be on a trial run for a couple of weeks because that's their choice. But I might have one on a trial run for 2 weeks. They're not even in the company, and we're trying to help make them successful before they set up an account. Somebody else do it in 1 day. They lead us to 10 people in 1 day, and they got people ordering products and everything's rolling because everybody's following a foundation. That's why we're called the unfranchised, because we're the Uncola of franchising. And so with the unfranchised, we have the proven system. We have the getting started guide. So if everybody, Tom, goes through a process, it's not an event. It's not a one-time deal like boom, you're in, you're successful.
Right.
Discipline. It takes commitment. It takes looking at your getting started guide, which is your first year in the business, and checking off boxes with us. And if somebody gives, for me at least, over 20 years ago, Tom, my attitude was this: if everybody at least gets a getting started guide, which is the check mark system for their first year in the business, they know what they got to do when they set up an account, then anybody, from my perspective, anybody who ends up quitting the business and doesn't keep rolling with the business and then tries to blame it on anything other than themselves, it's unfortunate that they're going that direction. Because ultimately, if you have the proven system, you shake a hand. Marcus Lemonis, the prophet, one of my favorite entrepreneurs.
Love that cat.
Entrepreneurs, he shakes a hand with everybody. There's no written contract. It's like, let's do business together, but you better show up and I'm going to show up and we're going to be successful together. It's the same thing we've done for the unfranchised, done for 28 years, where we're going to shake a hand with somebody. We're going to agree to show up and do it together. And if life gets in the way or whatever's happening, I've never had an issue with anybody, Tom, like from that perspective. So ultimately, life got in the way for that person, whatever's going on, but we can get right back on track. But if you don't check off the boxes, you should expect not to have that level of success with the company, but you can start checking off boxes tomorrow and know that a team is there and still supporting you. So my attitude is this, Tom. I always tell my team, hey, you will never quit this business and try to say that there was a lack of support, a lack of team, a lack of system and structure, a lack of clarity on what you need to do in the business. It's never going to happen because of the system and structure that's provided from the top down, and with all of us digging in with people. I mean, somebody call you tomorrow, Tom, and say, I'm ready to kill this thing tomorrow. And, well, I'll call you in a year. You missed your window. No, like they're ready to go. Let's go, baby. Let's pour some gas on the fire.
You know, it's interesting that you say, yes, we have the proven system. You start with the getting started guide. You check off the boxes, the trial run, the no decision close. We're not like, pounding, hey man, dude, if you don't get started today, tomorrow you're dead. We don't give it that type of deal. There's no pressure. People can find their people and, their way, so if they want to start as a sales rep and work their way into ownership because they needed the ability to finance themselves through selling some products, moving some services to start their business, that's how it is, and then you also have people that timing wasn't right. I just recently partnered with somebody 18 years ago. The timing's right now. They said, hey, Tom, Jill said, John and I, we're going to be empty nesters this year. And so we're ready to get started with marketamericanshop.com. And by the way, my daughter's anemic and I need some of that incredible multivitamin product that you have. And can you send me some immediately? That went on in her mind, and now she partnered in the business. But it took her 17, 18 years for the right timing. So why do I say that? Timing's not right for everybody, but the opportunity's always right, And so, when you get started is when you get started. But if you want to go now, JR says, go now, right? All you have to do is check off the boxes, follow the proven system, and we have that.
One time you hit something earlier too. 2 points is the thing you hit earlier is you hit that it took you a whole year, to start cutting through the pay cycle. And I know Trinity and I weren't the fastest out of the gate either, but both of us, all of us accomplished within a 2 to 3 year plan, Kay included, 2 to 3 year plan, making money with the company. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. It wasn't all unicorns and rainbows. It's a business. And I don't care what business somebody starts, there's going to be ups and downs. And, JR said it best the other night when we were on that interview where he said, not everybody the stock market doesn't have its best day every day.
Right.
And businesses don't have their best day or their best week or their best month every single day, week, or month. There's going to be ups and downs, peaks and valleys, the whole thing. But
so good.
Failing, see, it's all mindset. Somebody starts failing, say, wasn't meant to be. See, this wasn't for me. Maybe I'll go try another business. And it's just like, hold on a second. How about we just stop for 1 minute, look in the mirror, and reach out to a mentor. So how do I identify a mentor? Because that was the second point you brought up. It's just like, identify somebody who is or you would like to be. And so they have a proven track record. This isn't somebody who's talked a good game. It isn't somebody, you're like I read a good book one time, and so therefore I'm the authority on something. It's just like, no, they have lived it, and so therefore they know it. That is the difference from my perspective. That one of the best advice, my dad gave me growing up was, go talk to 10 people who are where you want to be and find out how they got there and what did they do and find out what the common threads were as far as how they did it. And, versus one opinion, jump to a conclusion that may be an illusion on the whole topic, right?
Conclusion might be an illusion. Mentors are awesome. And Market America has the ability, unlike any other company, we really do have the ability to talk and communicate with people that have gone before us that created success. And they're always willing to pour into us through our open meeting system, that we call the GMTSS, right? Which is a global system across the country. So there's no like private, conversations or techniques of how to get there. Everybody's willing to share. I have people that, for instance, work with in your group, Colin, that you help all the time and vice versa, right? That, a mentor is somebody that's willing to give freely, right? And that's, see, here you go again. People can take that as a negative. Oh man, they won't let you, or they're going to charge you for mentorship. Well, there are people out there that'll charge you, right? Or you'll go to a conference. There's conferences out there. 100x or whatever they are.
Yeah, 10x. Grant Cardone right now it's been what was $97 to attend the recording of 10x, where he had all these billionaires in one place giving mentorship, and people are subscribing to that all the time. And Tom, now, who's right, who's wrong? I mean, to me, anytime I can grow myself, I look at that 97 and say, am I going to take a nugget that's going to pay me 97 back? It's return on investment. This is the thinking.
Heck yeah, we got to go crazy, right? We got to go crazy, right? So investment is always something that, I say, like, this morning, whoever's on here, you're investing your time. Therefore, you can expect a return, right? So the words that we speak create life. The time that we spent creates, energy, learning, and knowledge, that we put in, as long with application, we can expect a return. And so, it really is a beautiful thing that we do follow some incredible mentors.
100%. Well, and here's the other, let's one of the last elephants in the room I want to address is, let's talk language. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the language that these people use when they're making these posts. So again, they're using buzzwords that they know are going to capture people's attention.
Yeah, triggers.
From a negative perspective, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, in some of these articles, and I want you guys to be very aware of this, and if you're a guest, if you're somebody who's just evaluating what we do, just be aware. Tom and I are just sharing our experience. You can take it, okay?
Actually,
but
these are a little real talk.
Okay, this is, that's why we called it real talk. So here's the deal. when they post things and when they write things and they're trying to share their opinion on things and how things are, they put in what I call half truths, which means some of what they're saying is truthful. And so therefore, because some of what they're saying is truthful, then everything that they're saying must be truthful. See, they're very smart about how they do. These people, they're not dumb. See, so they give a half truth, and so they use buzzwords like it's a cult. There's a cult mentality where, JR, has this following and he does these outlandish skits on stage of, the hamster in the treadmill and he gets everybody to buy into that, cultish activity of, and they just dig in on how negative that can be. And of course I read that. And on one hand, I start laughing and I say, man, I got to pray for this person, whoever wrote this thing. Because if that's truly their perspective, they got a lot of work to do on themselves. Okay, so that's number one. Don't be so fast to be defensive or thinking you're going to go fix that person that's choosing to believe garbage. Okay, because at the end of the day, if JR skit on the treadmill or walking the tightrope or the outer space skit and anybody can frame that out to the context that they want to. And if they call that cultish and this and that because of the analogy, because JR loves analogies and so does all of us. And that's why we relate to it. But
how we learn.
His analogies are about thinking bigger, being bigger than you are today, tomorrow, to bring betterment on other people and help other people. And again, that's cultish. That's hilarious to me, right?
It's hilarious to me because, again, as you sit here and say some of these things, I think to myself, when you say cult-like mentality, right? Success, right? So you have to create a cult-like mentality in anything to create success. And people use that word cult, right? Which is culture, so think about it. Every business has a culture. It's what you create. And, skits, man, Evel Knievel, I mean, you can look back to anything that had success, defining success, breaking the barriers, all have some kind of stage presence, some kind of, theatrical thing for us to learn. Even when we were in school as a kid, right? The teacher would create a little, maybe she would draw you a picture, right? A great teacher, creates an incredible vision, right? And so I love JR on the hamster wheel. I love the fact that he's radical enough to change the world, just like Steve Jobs, just like, think about this for a minute. We're going to the moon. We're actually, you can take a ride to the moon or into outer space, right? So those guys, they create a vision, right? They create a prop for people to follow. They create all these things. And so some people say, oh man, they're full of it. No, it's actually happening. And that's the thing with Market America. I'm grateful that we have somebody that's willing to put in that much vision and that much energy to create stage time for others to learn.
That's 100% it, Tom. I mean, because again, it's all perspective, man. It's always going to be perspective. And I love how you broke down the culture aspect of it again, because it's all perception. And again, what is the truth? What is right? What is wrong? Yeah. How do we, everybody just has strong opinions at best on certain topics, including me and you on certain topics. It's just, but we're always searching for what the truths are of what's right and what's wrong and how can we become better, And so
when we become better, everything becomes bigger. Look at Chick-fil-A, I mean, Boston Market. Nobody really remembers Boston Market, but everybody knows Chick-fil-A. Boston Market was out first. Chick-fil-A become better, therefore it drove his market to become bigger, and so I think it's important that as we move forward, Market America, JR, from JR down, we're all getting better. I mean, if you listen to Lauren Ridinger today, she
Oh my
is so great.
Oh yeah.
Right. But if you look back when she started, was she as great as she was today? Probably not communicating wise, but guess what? It was all in here, and it was in here. It had to develop the skill, had to develop the platform for her to become this incredible, powerful woman that shares vision today like no other, and so all of us are in the process. We're all in the process of a refining process of getting better, and so how does that look? That looks through vision, that looks through criticism, right? So one of the things that, as you refine a diamond, it becomes pressed, right? And everybody knows that story, or maybe you don't, but in the times where that pressing takes place is the refining. And, so criticism to us, like as Colin and I would talk about, we love it. Bring it. Why not? Because that means that we're going to get better. Therefore, you guys will get better because, when somebody says to me, hey, Colin, is it one of those things? I'm like, man, what thing?
That's right. What thing?
And they're like, they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What, one of those things? What is one of those things? And they're like, blah, 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 blah. Well, Uncle Jimmy's brother's cousin, sister's nephew, 8 generations ago tried this thing and it didn't work. And so, you know what? Grandma cut the end of the ham off in 1800 and we're still cutting it off today at night. No, she cut it off because the freaking pot was too small. Back then, they didn't make a big old pot. Think about how much ham you're wasting in the meantime based on your perspective.
100%, Tom. 100%. Love it, man. And that's the thing, you guys, is that's why the title today too was Nothing Has Meaning Except for the Meaning I Give It. And if you really learn, if every single one of you can adopt that and ask yourself that every day, what meaning am I attaching to certain things? Why do I feel? And that's a key. Why do I feel that way? What's forcing me to feel that way? Because there's going to be some things you're going to have to overcome in order to get better. I don't care who you are. All of us have to. Still, Trinity and I, Tom, Kay, all of us still today are overcoming certain things to break barriers for us to get to the next level. Always growing, always getting better, always humble enough to know that we're not perfect. And so therefore we got to continue to learn, grow, stay immersed in the information in order to make sure I stay on that freeway of great things to happen. Appreciate everybody's time this morning again. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Do something positive this week. Bless and serve other people. Make some great things happen as far as reaching out and being heart-centered. And know that you are going to be the light. You are going to be the breath of fresh air. You're going to be the optimist. You're going to be the person that other people are looking to uplift them. And know that we're giving people an opportunity. It's up to them whether they want to take it or leave it. No pressure, no convincing mode. But be the optimist, man. And if somebody's pessimistic, somebody's rude, somebody's, recognize that they're coming from a place of carrying a lot of baggage to whatever your approach was. And then, you have to just pray for some people too, man, because some people just need to simmer down. And so we don't have to get super defensive about it, but acknowledge them and say, hey, listen, I don't know what's happened to you in your past to make you so rude or negative. But maybe I just need to pray for you at this point. Don't worry about what I was approaching you about. I know you think what it was, or, you're jumping to a conclusion on what it was, but don't be so quick to get into a huge debate either. Either people are open and willing for some support and for some people that love and care about them, or they're not. And they get to be right because it's their life. And so all we can do is educate. Right, Tom? Any closing thoughts from you?
Man, I was just thinking that love conquers all. Sometimes we have to love the unlovable and, just speak words of life over them. And, happy Mother's Day to every mother on here or mother to be. you know, without mothers, none of us would be here. And so they're some of the greatest lovers in the world, right? So love every one of you guys. Thanks, Colin, for having me on here. And, you know, take this as an opportunity to change. If there's something that you're negative about, you know, I can tell you that if you look at the other side of the bottle, you know, if you look at a water bottle, on one side, it'll have the name, but what's it say on the back side? You know, you always have to look at all sides of the bottle, right? Because, you know, everything has the ingredients on the backside or the manufacturer on the backside, or it might say great water. You don't know, but if you only focus on the what's in front of you, you'll never know what's on the backside. So love you guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.